I screamed loudly and said to him in fear, my voice trembling, "Please, let me out." "No exit until you achieve your goal. Isn't your goal to have children? I will make you give birth to my heir."
It was 8 o'clock in the evening when my father, mother, and little sister traveled to the village. I was supposed to go with them, but I preferred to stay because I don't like traveling to the village. I'm an introverted person by nature. I don't like going out much, and I have no friends except for one, my laptop, my best and most loyal friend. I spend most of my time in my room, browsing Facebook, writing stories, or watching videos from the content creators I follow. I love horror, mystery, and adventure stories. But in reality, I'm a very cowardly person. I don't like dealing with people, and I'm very shy. These traits caused me a lot of problems at school because the students there thought I was arrogant, so they constantly annoyed me, even though I did nothing to them. I just avoided them and walked away. That's my life for a person whose only friend in this world is his laptop. When my father, mother, and sister left, I said to myself, I'll spend a whole day with my laptop without my little sister bothering me and asking to play the mouse game. I opened Facebook and started scrolling until I saw a post that caught my attention about the dark web, deep web. It was an article explaining what the deep web is and how to access it. From the article, I learned that the deep web is a massive hidden part of the internet. I understood that the internet is just a network of websites hosted on large servers like Facebook, Google, and others. But there's another side of the internet we know nothing about, called the deep web. It's said to make up 95% of internet content, completely invisible to us. The visible 5% is what we use today. The article also explained that the deep web contains everything you can imagine and can't imagine. Human organ trade, child trafficking, secret rooms where sadistic acts are performed on children and women. A dark and very dangerous world. To enter it, you need a special browser called Tor. It's your gateway to the dark web. Tor is like Google search, but different. You can't access sites easily. You need to know exactly what you're looking for. The article's author included a link to a secret room and instructions on how to enter it, stating that it streamed live videos of people killing humans and eating their flesh. I decided to take the risk. The first thing I did was download the Tor browser. Then I copied the link to the room. I found myself looking at a black screen with the word "live" written on the side. I kept staring at the black screen until I heard the sound of a crying baby coming from it. Moments later, the screen lit up, and I saw a woman wearing a nurse's outfit standing in a room. She was holding a small baby crib, the kind used on the streets. The baby was crying intensely, and the woman kept rocking the crib violently back and forth as the baby continued to cry. She spoke in a voice that sounded like a snake's hiss and said to the baby, "I don't want you to stop crying. Cry harder. Don't stop." I was watching the scene feeling intense fear, maybe because I couldn't see the woman's face. Her hair covered her entire face, just like in horror movies. The scene continued like that for about half an hour. A crying baby and a woman rocking the crib, her face hidden. Here is the English translation of the passage. But after half an hour, the baby's crying changed. It became a demonic, terrifying sound. It grew louder and louder until I couldn't bear to hear it. I felt as if the sound was coming from inside my own room. It wasn't just a feeling, it was real. The woman pointed at me and said, "Look at the crib." I turned toward the crib, and there it was, the same small crib, now beside my bed, with the demonic babies crying coming from it. I was terrified. My eyes widened in horror. I raised my hands and rubbed my eyes, hoping I was dreaming, but the crib was still there, next to my bed. I looked at the computer screen and saw the woman still standing there, holding the crib. Then she let go of it, lifted her hair from her face, and I saw her black eyes and half of her smiling mouth. I said to myself, "Dear God, save me from this nightmare." But it seemed things had already gone too far. There was no turning back. I saw the baby stand up in the crib. He looked horrifying. A baby, yet clearly demonic. I can't even describe how terrifying he looked. His head was pitch black. His eyes glowed like a cat's, and two small horns protruded from his forehead. He stared straight into my eyes, unmoving. Then, suddenly, he let out a piercing scream, and in that instant, the room filled with dozens of children who looked just like him, all screaming that same horrific scream. And just as suddenly as they had appeared, they vanished. I couldn't take it anymore. What had I gotten myself into with this cursed website? I tried multiple times to exit the room, but I couldn't. Even when I shut the laptop, the live stream didn't stop. Then came the ultimate disaster. I heard a WhatsApp notification sound. I grabbed my phone and opened the message. I looked back at the laptop screen. The woman was smiling. I looked at the WhatsApp message. It said, "Open the door. A gift is waiting for you." The moment I read it, I heard a knock on the door. Then two more. Then it turned into three. Then they became louder, violent, rapid banging. I told myself, I'm not opening that door no matter what. Who's out there? Answer me. I'm not opening the door. Then I heard the woman's voice say, "Open the door. A gift is waiting for you." She said it in a slow, broken tone that sounded like a snake's hiss. I had no choice. I slowly moved toward the door and looked through the peephole. No one was there. Everything outside looked normal. That gave me a bit of reassurance, and I opened the door. Once I opened it, because I had confirmed there was no one there, I looked around. No one. I glanced left and right until I noticed a large cardboard box in the corner next to the door. I picked it up. It was heavy. I placed it on the floor and opened it and screamed like I had never screamed before. What I saw inside shocked me to the core. It was my sister's body, or, to be exact, the upper half of it. Her stomach, arms, and head. I took 2 steps back, overwhelmed with fear and horror. I stared at the box in disbelief. It was really her. But I needed to be sure if it truly was her. This was a nightmare beyond comprehension. I hesitantly stepped closer and looked inside the box again. I screamed again and stumbled backward because the same baby that had been in the crib in my room had jumped on me and knocked me to the floor. What insanity am I living in? I wish I had never got myself into this. Yes, you've entered something far beyond you. I turned to see who said that. It was her, the woman. She was holding the same small crib, and the baby was inside it again, crying with that unbearable demonic wail. She stood there with her face still covered by her hair. She let go of the crib, picked up the baby, placed him on the crib, and began to cut him up with a knife she had in her hand. I was watching that disgusting scene, and my stomach was turning. I couldn't move or speak. The first thing she did was cut off the baby's head. Then she sliced a piece of flesh and ate it. It was a scene I simply cannot describe. Then suddenly, everything disappeared. I ran toward the laptop. I had to end this nightmare. When I reached it, I found an open chat window. A white screen with a blinking cursor, indicating someone was typing. A message appeared. "My name is Maria, and this is my son John. Do you want to hear my story?" I paused for a moment, then slowly moved my hands and typed, "Yes, I want to know your story." She started typing again. The typing lasted nearly 5 minutes. It seemed like she was writing a lot. Finally, she wrote, "My name is Maria. I was married to the man I loved most in this world. I couldn't have children, and I longed to become a mother. One day, my husband Marco came to me and said, 'We can visit a spiritual healer who might help with our infertility problem, since doctors have found no solution.' At first, I refused, but he convinced me. I thought, I'll try. Maybe I'll get pregnant through him. I wish I hadn't. I went to a demon, not a spiritual healer. The demon's name was Man. He lived in a house in a village, surrounded by cemeteries. We entered his house, and the smell was absolutely disgusting, like a grave, not a home. The walls were covered with strange things, many inverted crosses, and bones shaped into a demonic creature. I was terrified. I grabbed Marco's hand and said, 'Let's leave, I'm scared.' But he held my hand tightly and said, 'Be silent.' We followed Man through the house until he stopped at a room door. He signaled for Marco to stay put. Marco stood still. Then Man grabbed my hand, pulled me inside, and slammed the door shut. I screamed in fear, my voice shaking. Please let me out. No leaving until the goal is fulfilled. Isn't having a child what you want? I will make you bear my heir. I was horrified by his words. Then he reached out to my forehead and began chanting strange words in a very loud voice. His face changed, his eyes turned completely black. He continued chanting, and the longer he did, the more it felt like my head would explode. The pressure was overwhelming. Heat was radiating from my body. Then I completely lost control of myself. I was conscious of everything, but my mind wasn't mine anymore. It was like Mon had hypnotized me. He held my hand and said, "Lie on the ground." I obeyed without resistance. I wasn't in control. I could hear and see everything, but I had no will. Mon was in full control. I lay down, and he knelt beside me with a bottle in his hand. He opened it, poured 2 drops onto his palm, and wiped them over my eyes. At that moment, I couldn't see anything, just darkness. Then my vision returned, and I saw the room filled with smoke. The smoke began to take shape, forming a terrifying demonic creature. The creature approached Mon, who began chatting again, addressing the demon. Then it moved toward me, and a physical encounter began between me and the creature. I could feel it happening, but I couldn't move or resist. I couldn't stop what was happening. When it was over, the creature vanished, and I regained my awareness. We left the room, and Mon told Marco, "Now I can tell you, congratulations, your wife will be pregnant, but the most important thing is, do not go to any doctor. I will oversee the pregnancy myself, and when the time comes, I will deliver the child. My final warning, don't see any doctor." We left Mon's house, and I was in a strange state, lost, unable to speak. Even when Marco asked what had happened, I said, "I don't remember anything," but I did remember everything. I just couldn't speak. Not because I was scared, I literally couldn't produce words. It was bizarre. A week passed, and during that week, I kept seeing the same demonic creature whenever I was with Marco. At the moment of intimacy, Marco's face would transform into the demon's face. The same thing would happen again, and I would be under hypnosis once more, unable to stop or reject anything that was happening. The situation continued for a week until I began to feel extremely tired stomach pain, vomiting, and all the symptoms of pregnancy. Then I heard a voice inside me say, "The heir is on his way." It was a clear internal voice. Of course, I didn't go to the doctor because Mon had warned us against it. I didn't understand why at the time, but as the days passed, my condition got worse. After a month, my belly started to grow something completely abnormal for the first month of pregnancy. When I became weaker, stopped eating, and grew extremely thin, I decided I had to check on my health. I went to a doctor. When she examined me, she told me something I'd never expected to hear. She said, "All the signs show you're pregnant. I can hear a fetal heartbeat, which is impossible in the first month. The fetus doesn't even show up on the ultrasound. I can't explain this." That's when I understood why Mon warned us not to go to any doctor, because he knew this would happen. The fetus wouldn't appear in any scan to begin with. I left the doctor's office and returned home. As soon as I entered the apartment, I felt sharp, unbearable pain in my stomach. Then I saw Mon coming out of my bedroom. His face was terrifying, and he looked furious. Marco wasn't home, he was at work. But how did Mon even get into my apartment? Mon approached me, grabbed my hand tightly, and said angrily, "Didn't I tell you not to go to the doctor?" As soon as he said that, the demonic creature suddenly appeared from nowhere. He stood next to Mon and pointed at me. Then Mon grabbed my hand and said, "Come on, my heir must be delivered now." "What do you mean? I don't understand." "I mean you're going to give birth right now. You made a terrible mistake by going to the doctor. This will put my heir in danger if he doesn't come out immediately. I told you I would come to deliver the baby myself, but you didn't listen." He spoke with extreme anger. I was in shock. How could I give birth when I had only been pregnant for 1 week? What kind of baby comes out after just 1 week unless it's a demon? Mon took me by the hand. I felt like I was drugged. He led me to my room, pointed to the bed, and said, "Lie down." I went to the bed and lay down. The demonic creature approached me and placed his black hand with long claws on my stomach and began pressing down hard. I was in pain but couldn't scream, my voice wouldn't come out. He kept pressing and pressing until I saw him pull a baby out of my stomach. A baby that looked several months old, not a newborn. It was unbelievable. The creature held the baby, who was a perfect replica of the demon himself, horns on his head, a hideous appearance I can't describe. He handed the baby to Man, and Man held him joyfully, saying as he hugged him, "My heir, you are the one who will carry on my legacy." And in that moment, I witnessed the most horrifying scene of my life, something I never imagined could happen. The first shock was that Man turned into Marco. Yes, he physically transformed into my husband Marco. He approached me smiling and said, "Yes, it's me. And do you know why I married you? What man agrees to stay with a woman who can't have children? I stayed because I knew my heir would come from you. I was looking for a woman who couldn't conceive, and I found you. But do you know who I really am?" The moment he said, "Do you know who I really am?" his face transformed into something more horrific than the demon I had seen every day. He became Satan himself. That was the second shock. Marco was never Marco. He was the devil all along, and he came for his heir. The devil told me he would stay with me until the heir reaches a certain age, and then he would return to take him. As for me, I would remain locked in this room you see me in now. I will stay here until he returns to collect his heir. I read her story and was in complete shock. Could this really be true? As soon as the story ended, the screen went black, and I was kicked out of the dark web completely. It was a journey I had taken, and one I will never repeat. It shook me to the core. That was my story, and I warn anyone thinking of entering that world. I came out physically unharmed, but my mind is still haunted by everything I saw.